But if you've been following along on the market wrap here and following along with kind of these key pivots on the Qs and SPY, then shouldn't be too surprising what the bias will be going into Monday, because we got our failure pattern pretty early in the day. So we'll go over that. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for August 26th, 2022. Qs down 4.1% and SPY down 3.38. Now we knew where once we break underneath what was it, 313? Yeah, 313, 312.99 there. All out bearish. Weekly bearish, daily bearish, long-term bearish. We're probably coming in quite a good amount. So we did get that breakthrough there in the morning. And so since then, you should have known that all out bearish. So as we go through the plays from today, you'll kind of see also how that changed. We came into today bullish as long as we stayed above that 312.99. And what did we do? Initially, we kind of held, and then we even went up. And then when we came back down, we took it out. And market just stayed weak the rest of the day. All right, so bearish going into Monday. Now, we had a wide range bar, one of the widest bars here that we've had in quite some time. I wouldn't be surprised if Monday, maybe a little bit of a rest day. We could get a small gap down that kind of consolidates, or a small gap up that consolidates. But overall, bias is going to be bearish. Okay. Short term and long term. Okay. What would we have to do in order to change the bias here? We'd have to do a lot. Really, I think in the immediate foreseeable future, we'd really have to take back most of, if not all of, this red bar first, before we can really start talking about back to bullish on the Qs and SPY. Okay. So, we'll see. Right now, hourly is in a downtrend. Daily is failing on the buy setup, so that's bearish. Weekly is bearish. That's been the thing that coming into this week we're mainly watching for. With today's failure pattern, all right, you triggered the all-out bearish bias. Okay. All right, let's go over the plays from today. So like I said, today, initially, starting off bullish bias as long as we stayed above that pivot point. So my first play was actually the BXRX over the high of the day here. BXRX as a 2-minute and 5-minute high-low this morning. This was the BXRX. And then the daily was the reason I played it so aggressively. I really like the gap. Now the gapping over resistance, or to resistance, and then breaking out above it on the entry. To me, that's kind of a perfect gap. So the takeaway for me on this BXRX, which didn't work, broke out and then failed, is that I'm going to hold off on playing anything that's a penny stock. Because yesterday I played the KPRX. While the KPRX did not lose money on it, it really underperformed. So I thought, island reversal, room to the weekly, I couldn't get there. So that just means, yeah, I think penny stocks I'll hold off on. I'm not typically much of a penny stock player. I just thought that these were the best gaps. So, yeah, just the adjustment that's going to be made going into next week is that hold off on the penny stock gaps. Scalps are still okay on them. Can still scalp them, but I'm not going to play them as chart plays, as gap plays. Okay? All right, so that was the first play. Didn't work. And then the market started to get weak. So then started to shift to all the gap downs. So Domo, I played as a base breakdown this morning. Domo, right in here off the 2-minute. Okay, I think it was still a pretty decent sized stop. Now this could have been played more aggressively at the open, but I thought it was too spready. It's all like 30-cent spread. And it tightened down to like 10 cents, and I thought, okay, that's playable. Here's the Domo gap. I like this gap a lot. So that's the reason for the play, even though, it's kind of down a lot. It was okay. Eventually trailed on that run up, kind of just, I guess, bottomed here into the afternoon. The next play, I tried to short this AFRM on the sell setup in here off the 2 minute as well. This was kind of all happening at the same time. So you can kind of see once the market started to pick the direction and trigger that kind of eventful bearish bias, that's when I started, okay, let's everything that's got a good gap, good pattern, let's short them because they should work here with the market. But this I didn't get filled. I tried under 20, and then when it got to like 05, I canceled my order. So that was too bad because AFRM did have some decent follow through. I guess like the Domo into the afternoon did find a bottom, but just never played it. I also shorted the Dell. Dell was a kind of, you see this double top here. I don't play double tops, but once it started to base like this, then I can play this. So this was the play here on the Dell. Dell was a little bit whippy, and then I knew that it had some support there to the left. So I got out of this way too early actually on the Dell. I think when it broke new lows and got the bounce, like here, I think in here is where I ended up taking it. So pretty poor management on the Dell. So yeah, it's just that I thought, had that support on the daily, and then this one was whipping back and forth a lot. This one, yeah, definitely left a lot on the table on the Dell. So that was a good entry pattern. Gap was decent enough. I think the market definitely helped this get to bigger targets, but yeah, that was big. And then the OTEX also, I like this gap a lot. It's a lot like the Domo. This one, I think I'm fine with this one. This one was just this sell setup right here. I did have to live through this pushback here, and then I took the rest as it retested the lows here and looked like it was going to rally back, but actually into the afternoon came back in a lot. So missed out a lot on the OTEX. So yeah, quite a few plays today that didn't hold long enough, but it looked pretty bad here when it was moving back up. I think it held the stop just barely before going back down. I think the market also helped. So I think overall, yeah, probably the weakest part for me today was the management on some of these. Now I acknowledge that they weren't easy, but a lot of times they aren't. So that's just part of it, and sometimes that's how it's going to be. But yeah, started off, more of a bullish bias. Then once the market started to turn over, really tried to get short as many valid plays as I could. I didn't end up holding on to all of them long enough, but overall not too bad of a day. All right, so going into Monday, bearish bias, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of a pause first, just because of how big of a red bar today's bar is, and then we'll see kind of how we work through this bearish bias in the coming week. Okay, all right, that's going to do it for today's market wrap. Hope you have a nice weekend, and I will talk to you on Monday. Have a good evening.